Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to the Signal Alliance webinar on reducing your IT capex with predictable costs using managed IT services. Sorry, we're slightly behind schedule. We had a few technical difficulties, but now we're ready to start. I want to welcome our speakers in the house. We have Kingsley Young and Richard Obi. So they're going to do an introduction. They're going to introduce themselves, and then they will take it up from there. So let's welcome Kingsley and Mr. Richard here.
Yeah. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kingsley Young. I lead the managed service team for Signal Alliance, and I have here with me Mr. Richard.
Okay, hi. I'm excited to be here. You're welcome to this webinar. My name is Richard. I'm the head managed services. In managed services, what we do is to provide technical resources across software developers, Java, mobile developers, C#, all kinds of developers who provide it for companies across all sectors. We also provide technical resources across network engineers and also security engineers across all sectors. So that's what we do in managed services. So you're welcome to this webinar. I hope we're excited to be here today. We'll be sharing most of the ideas we'll have around helping you to reduce your capex or opex expenses with managed services. So on our outline today, we'll be looking at introducing what we'll have for today. We'll be looking at capex and opex and what do you gain by tapping into managed services. I will have a pool questions, and we'll also look at Q&A. So to start with, we'll be looking at capex versus opex. And what led to that is the traditional view of IT expenditure, which has changed over time. But for us to refresh what we already know, capex, as we all know, it's the money or expenditure a company spends in buying or maintaining or improving the existing fixed asset they have, likes of the building, hardware purchases, laptops, printers, vehicle, plants, and all whatnot. If you also look at the OPEX, just to refresh what we already know, is the expenditure we do on a day-to-day basis, likes of our renting, likes of the daily utilities we pay, the salaries we pay, the expenditure or expenses we make around the R&D expenses and business travels. So why we're here today is to show how managed services can help you reduce from the capex side and from the opex side. So our arguments will be very open. Most CIOs and most CFOs want to use capex. Most CIO and CFOs who also like to use OPEX. So it's going for or against. Which one will managed services help you to solve in our various businesses? So in the past, you have companies spending a whole lot of money around technology infrastructure. They would also like to make this payment upfront around buying physical servers, network pipes, racks, hardware, storage facilities, cooling systems, and software. And after they've purchased or made investment in around this capex, you find out that a few years down the line, they will still make the same kind of expenses again later the year, which accrues a whole lot of cost to the company. So why we're here is to look at why is company investing money in around these capex expenses. every year, year to year. You find out that year to year they are investing money in technology infrastructure and is not reflecting to the bottom line of the business. A whole lot of huge investment is being made around here, and year to year is not impacting to the bottom line. Nevertheless, that CIO, nevertheless, that CIO and CFO has a different perspective views around capex and opex. For a CIO, he is looking at his IT assets. He is also looking at information management and all intellectual property lines. For a CFO is looking at his balance sheet, also looking at his key performance indicators and his cash flow. So for a CIO, for instance, he's looking at his IT assets. He has invested a whole lot of money to ensure that his daily operation is running as when due. He's also looking at his information management, how he's managed his information. And he's also looking at intellectual property. For a CIO, looking at all financial indices from balance sheets to P&L, profit and loss account, and his cash flow. He's looking at how will this expenditure help me manage all I'm doing. So there has been a whole lot of tussle and back where a CIO is of the opinion that if I'm using a capex, for instance, it will help me get my job better. If I'm using OPEX, it will help me get my job better. So our argument today will be OPEX is gradually having more advantage over CAPEX, or CAPEX having more advantage over OPEX. So I will be allowing my colleague Kinsley Enyang to show the distinction between these two, where managed services can come in terms of the capex side and in terms of the opex side. What do we agree that have helped us to manage our various businesses? Just as I mentioned before, on or before now, a huge investment has been made around technology infrastructure. But the bottom line is, how are we reaping through that? A whole lot of investment has been made. So, so I will allow Kinsley to come in at
All
this
right,
point.
thank you, Mr. Richard. Okay, traditionally, just like my colleague Mr. Richard has said, capital expenses tend to be a major investment in goods. And this shows up on the CFO's balance sheet, and they are depreciated over a life time of assets, say for some company 3 years, for some company 4 years, as the case may be. Whereas for the operating expenses, which is the OPEX, this shows on the profit and loss account, and related to expenses incurred on an ongoing basis. Okay, say for example, let's get purchase for example, the purchase of printing papers, the purchase of maybe repairs of chairs and other things. These are expenses that is used on daily basis to run the business. But importantly for many organizations, operating expenses are tax deductible, whereas the capital expenses it is not. So now the question is, let's take a practical look at once a company has gone out to buy a car. That's a practical example. Once you have bought a car, you are stocked in that car. And the money used in purchasing that car, of course, is your capital expenses. But you're stuck in that car forever, 3 years, 4 years, as the case may be. Now, within that 3 years, there could be a new model of that car. There could be other changes, other innovation that has happened in the automobile industry. And imagine you're not you know rich enough within that period of time to acquire a new car, so you're really stuck into that car. You cannot make any change, maybe based on financial challenges. Now let's compare this to when you rent this car. Over a period of time, as the innovation changes, you can decide to meet, wherever you rent the car, let me say the service provider, to say, okay, you know what? I want to use the new modern car. So you're not stuck in the old one, you're not stuck in the old way of doing things, you're moving with the trend. This is exactly what happens in the IT industry. You believe traditionally that the days where you have to maintain your data center, you have to look at how to cater for cooling, you have to look at maintenance and other things that comes with maintaining the data center. Now, the question is, which would you have preferred in this new era where companies are looking to minimize their spending? And with the invention of the cloud technology, a lot of companies are taking away, are moving from the capex to the opex in terms of funding their IT activities. So one of the arguments that has always showed up in terms of budgeting is one, let's look at economic impact as one of them. The CIO would always want to have a budget, to predict the budget ahead of time, to say, you know what, in this coming quarter, I am looking at spending X amount of money for YZ projects. Now, the company has done that in the board level, release a certain fund amount of money for that project. But what if there is an economic impact? Say, for example, an increase in dollar. Say, example again, inflation. How does the CIO account for additional money that is required to fund his project? Another area that brings the tussle between the CIO and the CFO is in terms of overhead count. I'm going to look at a practical example in the licensing world. A company has purchased, say, Office 365 for their email communication, which you know email is very important for running the business day to day. And a company has invested, say, X amount of dollars for licensing, owing to the fact that they have just 5,000 employees, all using the email platform. Then because of expansion that has taken place over time, or say the company needs to expand within a period of time and there is a need to add additional employee, the CIO, of course, needs to make a case why he needs additional money for additional licenses. And the CFO or business owners per se has always seen IT as a unit or a department per se that do a lot of spending without, in one way bringing fiscal cash back to the company. So we've seen, people have over time seen IT as the spending department. So how does the CIO make these cases to the CFO to understand that they need to invest money? So, but the question now is, buying a license, additional license to the CFO, does he see it as a capex or does he see it as opex? Another area is unplanned maintenance. For the fact that you have a perfect system, perfect network in place, perfect resource to manage those infrastructure, perfect cooling system and what have you, does not guarantee that the system will be perfect for a period, for an estimated period of time. Of course, there's going to be unplanned downtime in most cases. Now, the unplanned downtime, catering for this unplanned downtime, where do you use the money from? Is it your OPEX or do you classify unplanned downtime as your CAPEX? These and many more are some of the questions and some of the areas where organizations, where CIOs find it difficult, and it brings about that tussle between the CIO and the CFO as to where to classify all this in terms of their spending. Also, unforeseen disruption. Let's take a practical example, the WannaCry cyber attack. Nobody expected this. Nobody made a plan for it. Most organizations didn't even know it was going to come. Nobody saw this coming. But unfortunately, it happened. Systems were hacked, business downtime occurred. Now, the question is, how do organizations overcome these challenges, especially for those whose operational expenses were not made to cater for this? Another area could be technology trend. Technology changes and evolve over time, over time, and over time. Now, companies, of course, need to meet up with this technology trend. They need to go with the trend. So the question is, how are you able to predict your recurring costs to say, oh, in the next 2, 3 years, I'll be needing certain amount to invest in my say network. So the change in technology trends pose more and more challenges to CIOs on how to defend their budgets with the CFO. Okay, so now let's look at having capex under control. But before then, we'd like to have a brief pool question to look at the areas where to classify some areas where in your organization you feel spending on such IT projects are either capex or opex. So we'll share a pool question, and I'll appreciate if you can classify those areas into capex or opex. Okay, so 100% says this is capex. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Okay, 50% says that unforeseen disruption are classified into capex. Another 50% says it's opex. Okay. So let upgrading infrastructure, existing infrastructure. 100% again says this is a capex, capital expenses. To the CFO, to different organizations, different CFOs sees this as, some classify it as capex and others classify it as opex. Now the question is, how do you present a case? How does the CIO present a case to the CFO to understand that, say for example, that upgrading an existing infrastructure needs to be done and there's not going to be any change? How do you explain to the CFO that you're not coming back in the next 1 year or 2 years to say, I want to upgrade this infrastructure again? So that brings us to this slide, having capex under control. How would you present a case to the CFO that after he has invested X amount of money into, say, network refresh, and in the next 1 year or so, which of course the CFO must have captured that as a capital expense, expecting that this is going to depreciate in 3 years' time. And then the CIO is coming back within a period of time to say, you know what, there's been a new technology around, and we need to meet up with our competition, with the competition. So we need additional money in the next budget to cater for this. To the CFO, it's like coming back over and over again to ask for what you've asked for over time. So this business justification to the CIO has become, has over time be a very difficult one. And business owner, like I said earlier, business owner generally sees the IT department as the money spending department rather than a business or revenue generating department. So the question here is, how do CIOs have their capex under control? We've highlighted one, remove. So the CIOs need to be innovative, look at other ways to remove the need to purchase expensive hardware and software completely. Like I said, Cloud technology is driving the way technology is being used now. It's driving technology consumption. And traditional IT is shifting away to the cloud technology, which helps people to be able to pay as they consume their IT services, making IT more like a utility service. The CIO also needs to create a better comprehensive IT budget that is trackable and then is predictable. But how do you predict IT in this trend of technology where technology is changing day after day? This is where we talked about having to scale your resources by using flexible services that can help you adjust the changing needs. But what are those flexible services? We'll talk about managed services, how managed services can help can help you use flexible services. We'll look at those areas of managed services that can allow you overcome some of these challenges. And then funding new and improved technology initiative. It's another challenge for the CIOs. Because of course, when you've exhausted the money in doing your budget in doing unforeseen maintenances, like we mentioned before, getting money for new project becomes a challenge because it means you have to wait for the next, say next year or whenever the next budget is passed for you to, bring in what you have as innovation. So this is to say that for companies who have based their IT budget on capex, finds it difficult to go with the trend. They find it difficult to carry out new projects. And in such case, what is the effect on the business? The business is stagnated. Innovation is not encouraged because there is no money to try new things. So we'll look at in the next slide how managed services can help reduce and help you overcome these challenges mentioned. So the question is, how will managed services bridge all this gap? Recent research has shown that companies who uses one source of managed service in their IT operations saves 33% of their budget as compared to when they run in-house IT entirely. And one of the advantages that has been identified in that research is that using managed services in one form of your business free up your IT staff to focus on more productive activities that can generate money to the organization. Also, keeping pace with the demand for IT expertise. The demand for skilled IT professionals is on the rise now. There's a lot of people moving from, even when you pay a staff to the highest minimum, to the maximum you think you're doing, they are always interacting with their peers in other companies. They're always looking at the move. Now, what happens when a staff exits an organization in a time where such staff was handling a very critical project to that organization? So how do you keep with the pace of the expert demands? For a managed service, when you subscribe to a managed service provider, the issue of staff exiting becomes a minimal burden to you because you're sure of replacement, you're sure of getting the right skills at the right time. You've taken away the burden of going out to carry out recruitment again, sourcing for talent that will meet up to your project. All this because the managed service provider has a diverse skilled professionals. So this becomes a less burden to the organization. Then greater scalability. Of course, just like the cloud solution which we talk about, consumption is more like a utility, like how you pay your utility bill. You pay based on what you use. Now, imagine an organization of 30 to 50 users who wants to have a robust IT environment, they would need to set up their data center. They will need to pay resources for the maintenance. They will need to worry about the area of security and what have you, cooling. Now, in the midst of a lesser budget, how are they able to meet up with the competition out there? Managed services allows organizations to scale their IT as their needs arises. So what am I saying? What are we saying in enough sense? Most organizations subscribe to managed services knowing that the providers can give them a certain requirement that they need at a certain point of time without incurring much expenses. Again, 24/7 availability. With managed services, you're assured of at least 99.9% uptime. So rather than wait to escalate the downtime to your IT staff, okay, take example, one of your IT staff may not have been on duty as a point of downtime, or they could be on leave. How do you cater to ensure that your business is not having a downtime for a period of time? This is where managed services come to play. And then shift of burden of compliance, and then predictable monthly costs, which is, of course, what we are looking at today. With managed services, you're able to predict how much you're going to spend within a period of months or time, because most of the service offered to you is based on subscriptions. So you're paying for what you're using and you're not paying for what you don't need. So there is no overkill. You're not investing your IT budget on things that you don't need, but rather you're able to predict based on what you know you would consume within this period of time. And then is a way of saying you're shifting your spending from the capital expenses to the operational expenses. So what are the other benefits when you use managed services? Of course, you're sure of transforming your IT support need from reactive to proactive. Rather than wait for the incidents to occur before you find a solution, the managed service providers will proactively investigate and find out what are the likely challenges or what are the likely things that is going to cause downtime within a certain period of time. So rather than wait for the incident to happen and for you to have downtime, you can transform your IT support proactively using the managed services. So you're sure of uptime anytime, any day. And then consistency in delivery. For companies who requires IT services to service their clients, say for example, let's take a bank for example. If the network of a bank goes off for 10 minutes, that impact is felt from the top to the bottom. So the consistency in delivery becomes very key in terms of how your customers or your clients perceive you. But of course, like we talked about the unforeseen maintenance and downtime that can occur as a result of using in-house IT. Managed service can supplement your in-house IT to ensure that there's a consistency in delivering your services to your customers. And then we also looked at increased business uptime and reduce expensive reactive repairs and maintenance. We talked, as I earlier said, reactive maintenance can be more expensive as compared to proactive maintenance, because when a problem strikes an organization, most of the resource you may want to use at that point in time, if you don't have an SLA, could want to take advantage and charge high. But with a managed service contract, this burden has been taken away from you, so you're very sure that your proactive repairs are done in a minimal expenses, with a minimal expenses. So you're not paying more to achieve less. And then also, this managed service will also help you convert IT costs from unpredictable and variable capital expenditure to predictable and fixed monthly operating expenses. So this gives you the leverage to make for CIOs to make a case with the CFOs as to how much they are predicting to use. And of course, this makes sense because you're predicting a certain amount of money and you're actually using what you predict to solve your IT challenges. You're not going back to the CFO for additional requests. So, in enough sense, the question would be, what does managed service bring to the table? Peace of mind, one of them. So your focus, like I said earlier, you're focused on your core business, and then that will help you. That will relieve the concern of getting additional expenses to cater for your IT services. And then you have a single point of service. So rather than have different vendors managing your network, managing your email, supporting your business applications, you have a single point of service where you have your SLA that covers your network infrastructure, your support on your messaging platform, on your business applications, and all other core applications that runs your business. So you have a certain amount, predictable amount for your maintenance, and you're very sure that you ain't going back to the CFO for additional. So this gives you, the managed services gives you the opportunity to leverage all your services on one single point. And then also lower your cost. So you have your cost in control because you have a predictable monthly cost through subscription-based services. And this is like moving from the CapEx to the OpEx. And then we have optimized productivity. Of course, with the managed services, you're sure of reducing the time, the time that you spend in carrying out any reactive repairs, any reactive maintenance. So managed services gives you that opportunity to optimize your productivity because you're not burdening of the IT business. You have this IT business taken care of by someone else. So you only focus on revenue generating activities. And this can create opportunities for you to be more productive, more innovative, and also saves your cost as well.
So just like we mentioned earlier, in managed services, we'll have four areas that can help you. We'll have four areas that can help you manage your capex. We can help you manage your whole entire IT spectrum, which we call manage IT outsourcing. We can do offsite. Manage IT offsite is another solution we provide to our clients. And what we do in managing IT offsites is when you need these resources, they can come around and help you resolve whatever the issues are. Then we'll have also manage IT help desk. That's likes of IT support from telecoms to banking to manufacturing to the simplest IT help desk you might require. We provide such resources in your various environments where they help you to solve any little IT issues you may also have. Then we'll have manage on-site support. That is when you also have our resources, you also sign in an SLA with us to say, okay, XYZ aspect of your IT operations is being signed as an SLA to Signal Alliance to help you manage. So likes of financial institutions today will provide such resources for financial institutions. Likes of manufacturing will also do that. Likes of telecom will also provide such resources. So these are areas we can come in to help you resolve whatever issues you have to manage your capex down to your opex operations. So thank you very much for listening to this webinar. You might want to ask any questions around all we've discussed today. You are open to do that.
Okay. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. Um, we are going to send you the recorded slides so that you can consume it at your leisure. Also, we're going to send you a follow-up email, and then Mr. Richard and Mr. Kingsley will be in copy, so they can discuss with you moving forward and see how they can come into your organization and provide managed services options for you and all. So thank you very much for your time. Do have a great weekend ahead. Bye bye.